Today's video starts with a pair of headphones, but it circles back to guitar gear, worship ministry, and is footage of a recent night of worship, so do stick around to the end. This is my Sony MDR7506. I've been using this to mix and master all of my audio projects and YouTube jam tracks for the past 2 years. And in that time, wear and tear set in. The faux leather that encased the ear pads began peeling off. I think the pads themselves were damaged at some point because the sound of the headphones really changed. Bass response became non-existent, and the highs, which are already prominent in these, became piercingly unbearable after extended mixing sessions. I was convinced these were not working properly, but I told myself I could still use these for non-essential listening situations, like live in-ear monitoring and just general tracking when I don't need to hear intimate details. But then I needed to get proper audio work done, and at the time, I saw no choice except to buy a new pair of headphones which didn't color tone as drastically as the Sony's did. So I got these, the Sennheiser HD490 Pros. I was back in business and now the owner of 2 headphones. It wasn't until a dear friend posted about replacing the ear pads of his own pair of Sonys that the thought of earpad replacement even occurred to me. And since replacement earpads can be cheap, I decided to bite the bullet and try my hand at it. After all, my friend was a fellow zero handyman skills male. The time had come to put audio through them and I was shocked. My tone came back exactly as I remembered it. With these earpads replaced, the Sennheisers are kinda redundant. What drove me to have 2 pairs of headphones? One was working under suboptimal operating conditions, so I needed an extra pair to compensate. Or so I thought. We shouldn't be using gear that is in a suboptimal state. Common sense should have prevailed to diagnose the problem and attempt solutions before buying new gear. But I jumped the gun, and I suspect this is how we approach our guitar gear too. This is my 2009 Fender Classic Player Baja Telecaster. It's been around the block for a while, and I rarely check if it needs a setup. Consequently, the action was a little high, the intonation was slightly off, and for a while, the electronics were buzzing. Never mind, I told myself. This guitar fights back a little, and that's supposed to happen. How often have you heard others laud the fighting back of the guitar as something normal or even desirable? Could it be that we're playing with guitars that have suboptimal setups? The buzzing had reached a state where I could no longer ignore that it was problematic. And just to let you know how ridiculous this logic can play out, when I concluded that this Telecaster and its humming, buzzing single coils were going to be a problem, and I thought I needed to address that problem. Instead of getting it fixed, I decided I'm going to get myself a humbucking guitar that has none of those single coil issues. I'm going to get this Les Paul Studio. And after this Les Paul Studio, of course, it has its own associated problems. It was a shorter scale guitar. It didn't have the spank or the twang or the telly. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to have something that's in between. So then began this guitar, the PRS. This was meant to be in between the Fender and the Gibson. And so you buy this guitar thinking it's going to solve problems, but the problems just keep coming in different ways, different forms, and just keep going on and on and on. That's when you have to say, enough. It's enough. I sent it in to a dear friend who does setups, and when I got it back, I was shocked. Just like with my Sonys, the guitar felt amazing to play. The action was just right, the intonation was perfect, and most importantly, there was no electronic buzzing at all. I can honestly say, this cheap Mexican telly is now one of the best tellies I've ever played. Suboptimal conditions aren't just operating with problems and issues. It can also come from operating gear without knowing it inside out. Perhaps we can get that piece of gear to do what we want it to if we read the manual more thoroughly or spend that extra time tweaking it, rather than slap on a judgment that just because we couldn't get it working in 5 minutes, it's not our jam and buy something else. Just like how my Sennheisers are now a little redundant because of the little DIY effort I put in, I wonder how much less gear we'd have if only we knew how to fix them ourselves or obtained full knowledge of our existing gear. So the takeaways for me are simple. Read the manual, learn the gear, and I'm going to be honest with everyone who watches this. I want to learn how to properly set up my guitar. I want to be able to diagnose and treat electrical problems and faults in my guitars. How am I going to do that? I don't know. I don't have an answer now, but I'm starting to look around for help. But perhaps you can help. For those of you who are handyman with your guitars, where and how did you start your journey? Please feel free to share your stories, tips, and tricks in the comment section below.